Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I'm your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Aquarius in January 2019. What is going on, Aquarius? How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Happy New Year. Hope you guys were celebrating. Well, not hope that you were celebrating, but rather if you were celebrating, I hope you were around people who loved you and that you loved back. And if you were just curled up at home with your cats, that's cool too. I'm sure you love your cats and they love you back as well, okay? Happy birthday to those who will be celebrating quite soon towards the tail end of January. I hope that also goes well for you guys and that you're surrounded by people who love you and that you love them back, of course. We all want to share in that highest positive energy that's possible in the universe, right? Aquarius, shuffle off camera. That's your main spread there. What I'm going to do now is shuffle for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all cards are out and they're lying face up, that's when the reading will begin. You will see a timestamp in the box below for when that actually occurs. And you can click it, jump straight to the beginning of the reading if you want to. I totally understand. Also down there, you're going to find information on how to get a personal reading with me. It's very simple. You email me, I give you a confirmation, you send me the money, and then I send you your video. Commerce, people! Anyway, so if you want to get in touch with me about a personal reading, I'd be happy to work with you if you feel that I would be a good fit for you, alright? Alright, Aquarius, outcome, January 2019. Let's get it. Whoa, bunchy, but not right. There, whoa. Yep, that's it. Oh. Now, we don't do that. We've already got 2 for 1 spot, so we don't do that. So I'm not going to take these, but I will show you. 5 of Wands and the 4 of Cups. 5 of Wands is about disputes, arguments, little spats. 4 of Cups is usually about holding back or being reluctant to take an offer. So that might apply to some of you. But again, you've already got 2 in 1 position. So once that is out, whether it's in your main spread or your outcome, no more may appear. So, sorry guys. Outcome, January 2019 for Aquarius. Please show me. This is interesting because your main spread came along fairly easily. But this outcome, I'm feeling it's like a struggle to get it. It's like, I don't want to go here. I don't want to deal with this. Oh my god, that's way too many. That's like 5 cards. And that also happened when I was shuffling your main. If you want to take a quick look at it, what do we have? The Empress, the World card, the Magician, 3 of Coins, Judgment. Oh boy. So maybe there's an ending going on with an Empress or Magician, maybe, possibly. You could be traveling. 3 of Coins, maybe you're in partnership with someone. And of course, the Judgment card would be having final judgment or calling up things that you believe have been long dead for reevaluation. You got a lot of... What's going on with you guys? You got a lot of stuff going on? Is that what this is? Am I going to be sitting here for 5 hours trying to get your outcome? Let's try again. Outcome for Aquarius, January 2019. If this happens again, I'm just going to have to stop it, which I don't like to do for these general readings. I do them in other types of readings, especially in personals. I'll stop, but in the generals, I just like, thank you. I just like the message to come. There it is. Bottom of the deck is the overall. Come here. That's your outcome there. Let's flip everything and let's see what you've got. Of course, lots of fire energy. It's a fiery month, guys. And majors. This is a theme for everybody. You are in good company. Just about every other sign that I've read. And obviously you're the second to last, but everybody's been getting this. And more majors. Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with what is going on with everybody else. Let's just get into your stuff, okay? And I am like, I have like this residual cough and this residual lump in my throat kind of thing going on from when I was sick last week. So please bear with me if I'm coughing a lot or if I have to stop the video at any time, okay? Please show me Aquarius in January 2019. Please show me Aquarius in January 2019. Please show me. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, good. All right, guys, coming into January 2019, you come in with the Moon card of Pisces. So you might have a Pisces who is significant in your life, but you do not have to have, there does not have to be a specific Pisces. Yeah, the energy is more important than the messaging that's here for you, more important than any zodiac of any other person. This card's come out a lot this month. And again, there's strong themes across several different zodiacs, different readings that I've done. For you, Aquarius, the moon is talking about that uncertainty that comes with the moon card, or the energy of Pisces sometimes. This lack of clarity, lack of truth, lack of foresight, lack of affirmation or confirmation for some of you. I think some of you may have been left in the lurch, or feel as though you've been left in the lurch, or a lot of you just might feel adrift, like at this certain stage in your life, involving whatever arena we're talking about, family, work, love, relationships, self-development, whatever, you feel like out to sea in a lot of ways, or not necessarily off track or off of your course, but certainly, like, what course am I on? You know, it's like, you know, you're going somewhere, you know, you're drifting out somewhere, but you don't know where your destination is. You don't really know, you know, what you're going to encounter along the way, or even how to guide yourself. You might have a destination in mind. You might have a goal or a vision for yourself, but you're not necessarily able to get clear on how to move in that direction, right? So there's like a wanting here. If you look at that rabbit as it peers up at the woman, there's like a wanting there, like, what's behind your back? I want to know what you have, or I want to know what's hidden from me. I want to know what I don't understand. And so there's this very deep longing to gain a bigger perspective, or to have clarity about something, okay? So you're coming in, it feels like at a slight disadvantage. However, because you have all these majors, and I haven't really taken in what these majors are or why they're here, but what I'm getting is, when you have a lot of majors show up, it's usually because there's some type of lesson, or there's some type of work going on behind the scenes, so to speak. So you're being led, you're being guided, even if you feel as though you have no guidance, you have no one or nothing looking out for you, or assisting you in the situation. Like I said, I think a lot of you feel kind of adrift, like you're by yourself, literally out on a raft in the ocean. The irony, or not even irony, but the unexpected part of that is actually that's where you're supposed to be, quote unquote, supposed to be. And there is a lesson in it for you. Not a lesson as in a punishment, but a growing that is meant to come out of this period of uncertainty, okay? So don't get too anxious about it. Don't feel neurotic about it. Don't be embittered about it. Don't dwell too much on what you don't know, is what I'm compelled to tell you. You know, sometimes we are not allowed to understand something or have insight into something for our protection. You know, if we did know, we might be more hurt, we might become angry, we might become too expectant, or have a higher sense of anticipation, therefore we become ungrateful. So there's some like sort of underlining purpose for this lack of understanding and this lack of clarity, okay? If you've been with my channel before, you know I normally do 6 card spreads with 2 or an outcome and an overall. But for a while, and occasionally after, I think last spring and summer, I get what I call the triplets, where you get 2 cards in one spot, right? And you, I think, are the only sign that got a triplet in the main spread thus far. We've got Pisces to go, so we'll see what happens with them. But the significance usually of the triplet is it usually tells a separate storyline, okay, when I do my readings. So I think we're talking about something that is kind of going on the inside of you, or is like this long-standing or recycled issue, or this recycled state of mind, state of being, emotional state, whatever it is that however it's resonating with you. So on the inside, you probably feel like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life, but on the outside, you might be very well busy. You might be very busy. You might be kind of accomplished. You might have like, you know, a job and 2 volunteer positions, and you're in a lovely relationship, and your day-to-day actually makes it seem like you're moving towards something, or that you are finding and having an active social life, you know. But on the inside, Aquarius, I feel as though things might be a little bit adrift. And that makes sense. The moon card, that talks about our subconscious, that talks about the underworld, so to speak. So some of you might be having dreams where you literally are out on a raft in the middle of the ocean, or you are in situations, or you're involved with people that you recognize, but there is some type of distance between you. Like, you might have dreams where your brother or your sister or your spouse or whoever shows up, and you recognize them, you know who they are, but you feel disconnected from them. You feel some type of dissonance, or, you know, it's just not vibing in some kind of way. And I don't know what that means. If you're having dreams like that, that's not my forte. But I think that is significant, that what's going on in your dreamscape might be reflecting what's going on in your deep subconscious, okay? Now, continuing on with what is going on in your triplet, again, what I'm feeling is this internal space, or something that you've dealt with in the past and it's resurfacing. Yes, twofold. Not twofold, but like they immediately smash these two together. Not appreciating change, not appreciating or undertaking transformation, okay? So you've got the Hangman and the Death card. Both major arcanas. The Death card is very directly associated with Scorpio, so there might be a Scorpio in your life who is significant. And Hangman is sometimes associated with Pisces or Virgo, I think sometimes. Is it associated with anybody else? I've heard, and, you know, from my own studies, I think it has been associated with, like, I want to say Virgo, but it's not. If it is associated with Virgo, it's not Virgo's primary card. So you might have those other zodiacs who are significant in your life, but again, it doesn't have to be. But the point of these two together is not appreciating the changes and the transformations that you are undergoing, or that others around you are undergoing, or what your life is undergoing in general. You know, some of you might be a little despondent about the changes that you've had to undergo at various points in your life, and you're not sort of coming to terms with them, okay? Because the Hangman is about suspension. It's about basically tying yourself up, stringing yourself up by the ankle, and letting the blood flow to your head, and you get in sort of this contemplative, meditative state. Like, you're not literally stringing yourself up, but it's this idea of seeking and being open, more so than seeking, but being open to brand new perspectives. You know, when you literally turn yourself upside down, let's say you hang yourself, but let's say you sort of do sort of like not a backflip, but you sort of angle yourself off the side of the sofa or off the side of the bed, and you look at the room where your head now is where the carpet is, and towards your feet is where the ceiling is. Like, I've done that as a kid and as an adult, and it's kind of a trippy feeling, you know. Or you could do a headstand and sort of get this sensation. It's totally weird. Gravity is hitting your body in a totally new way. You know, we're so used to standing upright, walking on our feet, and having gravity affect our bodies that way. Granted, you're not supposed to stay upside down for a very long time, but in that time that you're able to, if you're standing on your head or whatever, you just feel different. It's a totally new experience. It's a totally new way to see the world around you. Everybody, you know, the first thing that you see of other people is their shoes or their feet. You know, whereas before, maybe you're not looking at people's feet, okay? So it's being open to what you are able to discern and observe about the world from a whole new perspective. Not literally getting on your head or dangling off the side of the bed, anything like that. But it's that whole let me think of this, or let me step out of my perspective, let me step out of my own shoes and put myself in his or her shoes, or just put myself in an objective position. Let's say I didn't know Bob and Mary, or I didn't know my husband or my wife. If I didn't know my kids, how would I feel about them? What if I was my kid's teacher? Like, maybe you're like kind of seeing your child through rose-tinted glasses, and you know, you're getting progress reports from teachers that say your son or daughter is this way and they have this great potential, they just need this and that, and you're just like, no, my kid is perfect. Now, I don't know many Aquariuses that would think that. I think that Aquariuses are very critical people, and they try their best to be objective. But this is just an example. So maybe you try your best to set aside your subjective bias towards your child, which is they are amazing. I brought in a golden child and there's nothing wrong with them. If you can push that perspective aside and see your kid from this other person's perspective, who is meant to educate your child, who is also meant to educate 20 to 30 other kids in their classroom, you would maybe see it a little bit differently. Okay? And coming right next to it is that Death card, again, card of Scorpio. And that means transformation. That means change. Death is the ultimate transformation. You go from this living sentient, or sentient, I can't talk. Sentient, that's not even how you're supposed to say it. Anyway, conscious person, this conscious living being. You have thoughts, you have parameters and sensibilities about you, right? To being a dead thing that has none of that. No more functioning brain, no more functioning organs. You're no longer emitting carbon dioxide, and you're no longer taking in oxygen. You are dead, right? And that is the ultimate transformation. You know, we can go through all kinds of transformations in our life. We grow up. We change our hair, we change our physical body, we adorn ourselves with tattoos or piercings, or we put certain substances in our bodies that change our biochemistry for a short period of time or extended periods of time. That's all changing. That's all transformations, you know, but it's all to a certain extent reversible. Or what is the long-lasting impact of all of that? Relative. Death is not relative. Death hits everybody. So there's this permanence, and there's this inescapable quality about the transformation that death embodies. And you are reluctant to let that in. You are reluctant to embrace it, or you have, if you're not reluctant, you've struggled. If you've tried and you try and you have to keep trying, again, we're kind of coming in this cycle with the moon. Moon moves in cycles, right? So you repeat this pattern, essentially, of having to reevaluate your life or reinvent yourself in some type of way, or you're encouraged by other people, or you feel pushed to make some transformations. But again, it's not easy. It's not something you feel you've accomplished just yet. Maybe you're aiming to perfect it in a certain way, or maybe you're frustrated and you feel like, well, when is it enough? Like, maybe many of you feel as though, well, I have changed, Jay. I have changed many ways. I've transformed in this way, in that way, in this way, in that way. And you can pinpoint, and you have, you got the receipts that show, okay, look, maybe you used to be overweight, so now you're fit. And then you're kind of like, but I still don't feel complete, or I still don't feel as though that journey is over, even though essentially, like, I'm on fitness magazines and I help run a CrossFit, what do you call those things, a box, or what are those things called? They're not CrossFit gyms, I forget what they're called. But maybe you've become this very physically active and athletic person, whereas when you were a teenager and young adult, you were little chubs, okay? And so you've transformed your body, you've transformed your lifestyle, you've gone through significant changes, but there's still something that's poking and prodding at you that is encouraging you to change once more, or be open to some other form of change, or see what you've done so far from a different perspective, through a different lens. And some of you are like, that's bullshit, I don't want to do that. Or, I've been doing it forever, am I going to get a break? When am I going to be done having to you know, re-establish myself in some type of way, or re-acquaintance, yeah, like make an acquaintance with my, does that make sense? Like making like, clear that up. Reintroduce. Thank you. I'm like, reacquaintance. That's not right. Okay, so reintroduce. Like you don't want to have to reintroduce yourself to the world, or you don't want to have to reiterate who you are. You just kind of want to be yes, girl and guy. I got it. You just want to be accepted for who the hell you are in society, or in your community, in your family, in your friend circles, in this relationship, whatever. You don't want to have to justify or explain or have to put words to what you're doing. If you are open to the transformations, if you're open to change, you just don't want to have to announce it to people, some of you. So that can go several different ways. You're all going to have like a nuanced or specific way of taking that in and how it might resonate with you. But basically, the challenge is being open to transformation, or being open to people's perhaps ignorance, or not ignorance, but some people might not readily recognize or give you the props, essentially, for your transformation. Not like you're like living for applause, but again, you just want to be readily accepted, you know. So maybe in the case of the athletic person who has reinvented themselves and worked really hard on their new healthy lifestyle, their athletic build, their muscular and fit build, right? You kind of love, or not love, you love and you're proud of what you've done, but there's always this return back to, oh, well, when you were young, Aquarius, how was life? And so maybe you're doing like local interviews. Maybe it's just when you meet people and they say, oh, what do you do? And you're like, oh, well, I'm like a partner in a CrossFit gym or box or whatever the hell you guys call it. And I do this, and I'm also a personal trainer. And they're like, oh, so what got you into that? Like, were you like kind of fat in kindergarten, or, you know, in grade school? And you're like, oh God, like, why can't you just accept that that's what I am? Like, why do I have to constantly go back and explain who I used to be to kind of validate or give you a bigger picture of who I am now? Like, why can't you accept me as I am today? You know what I mean? And that is one of Aquarius's higher callings, one of the things that you sort of rule over, or you have a hand on in terms of the zodiac. You know, each zodiac sign rules a certain house in the zodiac wheel, and there are attributes that are assigned to, not assigned to, but rather associated with each zodiac sign. And one of your things, Aquarius, is to be accepted for who you are, flaws and all, as I've heard British people say, warts and all, out in the world, and just have people love you regardless, or accept, not even love you, accept you and respect you. Accept and respect. Love, that would be nice, but if they can't, you should at least respect me, and you should at least value me as an individual, or as a, not even as an individual, as a part of this society. Because Aquarius, as much as you are a very individualistic person, you are definitely your own character. You're very much someone who can stand in their own skin, stand in all, like I said, flaws and all, stand in who you are. And if people start to, you know, make fun of you or call you weird or throw criticisms your way, you feel more emboldened to say, well, you're being really limited, and you're being really ignorant, and you're showing yourself to be basically the dick or the asshole here, you know. And it's not like you want to cause a fight. It's more of like, hey, my existence offends you. Like, you want to engage, not want to, but you would quickly engage with someone who says, oh, you're weird. You'd be like, so what about me is weird? Like that's like that scene from Goodfellas. Just what about me is funny? No, I'm a clown to you, but not that aggressive. But it's in that same way of, that's how you view me, and you're offended or you're somehow bothered by my existence. Why is that? Like, you want to get into this reason of why people just can't accept others. And so having to defend yourself or explain why you've made your choices or why you've made the transformations in your life that you have, you can't, oh God, it's tedious to you. in a lot of ways. It's very tedious, especially if it's over something that is very obvious or you've had to explain before. If, again, the only thing they're giving me really visually is this athletic thing. So if you are a personal trainer, you've got a website, you've been interviewed in local magazines, or there have been local write-ups about you and your business or whatever, your life story is out there. So then when you go on a date, you're kind of like, in this day and age, don't you just Google people? So you might be on this date, and this person is like, so tell me about this, and what was your teen years like, and were you overweight and all this stuff? And you're just like annoyed, like, did you not Google me before we came here? Yes, I was fat. That is a fact. You can see it online. You can read about it in this magazine. You can look at my YouTube videos, and I told you I used to be fat when I was like a teenager. Now this is what I do. So it's kind of like people aren't prepared, you know, in a way, or people just don't have, from your perspective, Aquarius, they're just like not approaching you the way you would approach you. I hope that makes sense. Or how you would approach them. It's just like, okay, if I'm going to go on a date, or if I'm going to get to know somebody, not like you want to stalk them, but you might Google about them, or you might observe things about them. Or maybe you wouldn't ask so directly, hey, did you used to be fat when you were a teenager? You might say, you might indirectly get to that information, or you would let that conversation organically come about. You wouldn't just like, I don't know, there's something about, like, you're disappointed in people's social skills, basically. So that's what's going on here in your triplet. Now, normally the 4 cards that are outside of the triplet are talking about normally what's in your present or your future, and I don't normally go for linear type of readings when I do my generals, but sometimes they come out that way. So is this what's going on now? Let's find out. They're giving me like a what's going on here? Tell me. Establishment. Reaction to establishment? Dealing with the anarchy? Okay. Okay, I think I get it. Moving them. Sorry, this is a lot. Alright, so I think there's not two groups, but like 2 ways. You can be that way. You're an air sign, so that makes sense. Okay. So I think you're possibly seeing your next steps in 2 different ways. This and that. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So, no. No. Oh, come on. You were just... Yes, okay. So, I think with the 8 of Wands here, did I mention that earlier? Like expectation? Or... Yes, okay. Yes, okay. So, I think you know something's coming. Some big change in your life, or some big pivotal moment, or, you know, something is coming. And it doesn't have to be big, but something is meant to come your way, or you're going to not crash down, like not so impactful, but certainly you're meant to arrive somewhere, whether that be physically, like you get on a plane or a bus or a train or something like that and you go somewhere, or you arrive somewhere as in like, you kind of come to terms with something, or something is cleared up and established for you, okay? It's pending and impending. There's a slight difference between those words. And it's wild, you know? those wands there kind of thrown up in the sky. If you're familiar with the Rider-Waite deck, or any other deck really that kind of depicts them this way, the Eight of Wands are usually shooting across the sky in like a linear fashion. Look like they're like launched arrows or something like that. They look very uniform. They look very direct and purposeful. Yeah? These are just like toothpicks thrown up in the air or something. Like, you know, maybe this guy is throwing those wands into the air. Maybe he's reaching out to catch them. And that's where the wild comes in. It's not very well constructed or well planned out. It's kind of haphazard. It's kind of crazy or at a disarray, in a disarray, you know? And so that could, and also Eight of Wands is traditionally talking about communication. So some of you might get communication unexpectedly or suddenly, or give communication suddenly and unexpectedly. Boom. That's how that applies. But it's more of like, okay, yes, thank you. I was like, what's going on here? Remember all that stuff we were talking about with the moon card? About the sea, being out to sea on a raft. You don't know where you are. You don't know if you're coming or going, that kind of thing. There is this idea where you know something is coming, some clarity, some communication, some new prospect, whether it's a new job, a new home, a new relationship, whether it's a new version of you. Maybe you are going to become open to a transformation, or you're going to be able to gain a new perspective. It's just the timing of it is, or the arrival of it or the launching of it is kind of haphazard and, like I said, in a disarray. It's like, you know, we could have thrown these wands with a little bit more tact, couldn't we, Robert? You know, we could. There's a sloppy is another word they're giving me. Sloppy, like disheveled, like So the communication that you might be expecting, maybe you're expecting a phone call, and instead of a phone call, you get like a 4-word text. Or you get a text with like bad spelling and terrible grammar and like 15 emojis. That might drive you crazy. That might drive you insane. And so that is kind of like, okay, I got the communication, but it came this way. Or you might be thinking, you know what, I'm going to write a sensible letter. Maybe you're wanting to tell your boss you'll be leaving the company soon. But instead of that, you just walk into his office and say, you know, this place is just not for me. I got to get out of here. You know, so it's like a little too fast. Or again, there's like not a good amount of preparation behind this. Well, I shouldn't say that. Thank you. Cycles, right? We were talking about aspects of cycles and times and coming back and repeating and stuff. So there's an aspect of time along this top line here. And I feel you've been waiting, or this decision or this communication has been long in the works. And that anticipation or that preparation time did nothing to clean it up, to make it more presentable or more tactful. You know, if this is communication from someone you haven't spoken to in a while, you know, we haven't spoken in 4 months, 8 months, 8 years, whatever, right? And then when you do speak, I know it would annoy me, maybe it would annoy you, is if you've had distance, time apart from someone, you haven't spoken, no communication, and then they suddenly communicate to you, text, phone call, show up at your door, I don't care what kind of way it is, and then they come in and they do it casually, like, hey, what's going on, girl? What? We haven't spoken in 6 years, Barbara. What are you talking about? That would annoy me, so maybe it would annoy you, is what I'm getting. Like, there's an air about the communication that is off, that doesn't land on whoever's receiving the message. It doesn't land on them well. It's kind of like... some people, whether you're receiving the message or not, Aquarius, some people are just gonna be like, this is bullshit. I did not expect this way, and I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Now, once that communication comes or you send it out, there's another waiting period right after. 2 of Wands. well, not a waiting period. I shouldn't say that. There's a period of discernment. There's a period of making final judgments, or not final judgments, but deciding what to do next. Thank you. Next steps. Next best approach. You know? So evaluation. That's what I wanted to say. Evaluation. So maybe some of you, you say to your boss, I don't want to work here anymore. And then your boss is like, okay, that's kind of sudden. Are you sure? You say this on like a Tuesday. And you're like, yeah, I'm sure. And then you go home Tuesday night. You're like, I'm going to leave next Friday. And you go home. And by this Friday, you're like, maybe not. Maybe not. So you might say something, or someone might say something to you, and they're kind of making declarations, or they're kind of expressing an idea that they soon will rethink or reconsider, or kind of feel like, let me backtrack a little bit on that. You know, if it's not a backtrack or anything like that, it is literally, I now have this information, or they now have information that I've sent to them. Where are we going from here? For you, Aquarius, if it is quitting the job and you mean that and you stick to your guns, it's like, okay, I quit. I don't have another job lined up, although I don't think many of you would do that, especially in this economy. Don't do that. But in case you did, you just had to quit. You couldn't stay there any longer, or you had to get away from something, because 1 minute more and you would have blown your top, okay? You then get into that evaluation period of am I gonna pursue my dreams? Am I gonna get another job that's, in an office? Should I try a totally different industry? Should I go back to school? It's kind of like, what are my options here? And in terms of wands, it's that desire to know, where am I going? Is it aligned with my passions and my long-term goals? It really is this, I need to make, this is like a serious chess move with the Two of Wands, even though it's a 2. I shouldn't say that. It's not a serious, what's that? I don't play chess. I mean, I know the basics. But the gambit, right? That's the first move you make in chess. So this could be a totally new chessboard set up in front of you. And you just want to have a good gambit. You want to make your first move the best move, or the smartest move, okay? So there's an evaluation going on, involving communication, involving the arrival or the departure, or the sudden arrival or the sudden departure of someone or some situation. Things starting up and it's brand new. We got to figure out how that plays into everything. And the thing about it is, it's on that same line with the Moon card. So I'm feeling, if we're talking temporally involving cycles, this might play out for you in the next new moon, okay? Or you might receive that communication, or, that newness in that next new moon, okay? If it's not about the temporal stuff and it's still feeding back into that unknown, it's kind of like, while this is still playing in the background, you might still feel a little bit adrift. You might still feel disconnected from your reality and your day-to-day life. Your day-to-day life is going to be focused on what's next, what's next, what's next. This is a very action-oriented energy. So you have this duality about your life right now in many cases, and I think it's just going to persist for a while, okay? Now, beneath you, yes. Okay, so this could be, I'm getting this is 2 separate people. You might be one of them, or you might not be either one of them, but the archetypes are really screaming out here. And it's more fire energy, right? Fire here in the wands, these 2 are represented by fire signs, so compelling energy, very passionate, very big and boastful, right? So you've got the Emperor, beneath the Eight of Wands. Emperor can be a boss, can be a leader, so this could be your boss. Your boss very much could be embodying this energy, or if they don't embody the energy, this is how you might view them. Emperor is also the card of Aries, so it might be an Aries in your life of significance, but does not have to be. And the Emperor is a tried and true person, or rather, they've seen a lot. They've done a lot. Like, this is, not to say literally it has to be, but this is like the war vet, like the trope and the stereotype of the war vet down at the VA, down at the bar, swapping war stories, talking about, you know, they're basically rolling out their greatest hits in life, you know, back in Nam and back in the Gulf War and whatever else they're talking about. Again, it doesn't have to be literally that. This could be someone who's talking about their college life over and over and over again. But the Emperor very much has glory days, and not that he likes to revel in that, but he does rely a lot on his experience and what he knows. And I'm saying he could be a female, but he knows a lot because of what he's been through. His knowledge comes from his experience, his try hard, die hard, sure, try hard, die hard, escapades or endeavors in life. All the wins, all the losses, everything cumulative makes him who he is, and he owns that, wears that proudly, you know, like a badge of honor. And his position as a leader is because he is the King of Kings, so he's mastered all of the kings in their suits. But he maintains a very stoic and noble facade. He doesn't really show his cards. He doesn't really reveal much of what he feels or thinks. He's like, he's like the person you go to for advice, and they listen and listen and listen and listen, and you're just going on and on and on and on and on. And then their advice is like summed up in like 5 words. And you're like, I just talked to you for 30 minutes. This is all you have to tell me? And they're like, yep. A stone thrown in the woods, you know, and it's like some, not cliched, but it's like this ambiguous, you know, cryptic message. It's never like the clearest of communications, but it is aiming to be profound. It is aiming to be compelling. And it's just like, thanks, Barry. I really, okay, sure. But, you know, I still feel there's like an air of respect about this person, or respectability, I should say, about this person. And this could be you. It could be some of you Aquariuses. You might be coming off this way to someone else. But what I feel is the issue of why he's here is the irony. If this is the person who's communicating, the irony is I'm communicating, but I don't necessarily want to reciprocate the communication. Or what I get back, I will be excuse me, I will judge very heavily what information I'm taking in, or what messages are being delivered to me. The Emperor judges harshly for the sake of his community, for the sake of his stability and his kingdom, right? So if he's going to send a message out, it has to be exacting in what he wants. Even if it sounds like gibberish to whoever hears it. Subtle message in there for somebody, maybe. So even if the message that he sends out is kind of crazy, wild, nobody can make heads or tails of it, he still feels, I said this thing because I'm very much interested in the sanctity and the sovereignty and the upstanding status of my kingdom, of my family, of my business, of my relationship, whatever we're talking about. So he might speak and other people are like, WTF, but he's like, I know what I said and I meant what I said. And everybody's like, okay, whatever that means. And then if the reverse happens, he's taking in the message. He's not going to read into it what other people are going to read into it. He's going to find his own meaning. He's going to find his own level of understanding. In some cases, he's very suspicious. And again, I'm saying he, but it could be a female. So he might be a little paranoid. I mean, if you look at him, you know, he's like side-eyeing something, not the jester, not the fool in the curtains back there. He's definitely concerned about something that's out of frame. So there's a cautiousness involving this person if they're receiving the message. There's a cautionary, like, let me make sure this is right, you know, suspicious package, you know, you know, that Facebook Messenger, I don't know, I don't even use that, who's this person? And they might do that. Like, if you send a text or an email to this person, or you're receiving it, you might not reply for a while. Evaluation period, okay? So there's this standoffish energy for some, if that's where you are or where someone else is, okay? And here we are again, but in a different tone, I think. I think this situation with the Temperance card right next door, card of Sagittarius, the other one of the other fire signs. Oh, man. Like, lost in the sauce. Too much of your own Kool-Aid, drinking your own Kool-Aid, right? And that being, like, not what you want to do. Not what you want to do, you know? So, Aquarius, some of you, or the people that you're dealing with, whoever this applies to, might be a little self-absorbed. Not like in an egotistical way, but like self-absorbed as in, my way is the best way, and this way will ensure that I have blah, blah, blah coming to me down the road. Or if I do this, then that means the other thing will happen. And there's just like this self-motivated interest, you know? I'm at the center of this, even though they may not be. Or wanting to ensure thank you. If this communication comes or goes, whatever it is, this person is like, well, what's in it for me? You know, what am I getting out of this deal? And that could be total narcissism. Like, you know, I'm the coolest, I'm the smartest, therefore I need to be validated in that way, or given praise for that. And other ways I'm getting this, it's from a snide, condescending point of view, because the Temperance card is about balance. It is about finding that holistic or natural balance between all of the things that are not so great and all of the things that are great about life, or are great, or that involve a certain situation or a certain relationship. Finding that middle ground and healing in the process. And I'm getting that someone is very mindful of that. Like, they're so mindful that they've dunked their head in that lake and they're not coming up for air, because apparently this is how you meditate, or this is how you find peace with yourself, or this is how you become closer to God, or something like that. Like, someone from a spiritual, almost even religious, or very sanctimonious is how I'm getting it. Like, I don't eat that food because when you do, you know, and it's just like preachy, or talking down to someone else who doesn't follow these tenets, or smugly sitting back going, well, of course that's not going well for you because you don't do this, this, and that. If you did this, this, and that like I do, then you would be, you know, it's just like, no, Susan or Jonathan or whoever, that is not how this works. You know, a true spiritual journey is a solo act. You have other people who come onto the path, but they don't stay on the path with you. You know what I mean? Even if you're in partnership with someone, you both are walking your separate paths, but maybe you're like linked up at the pinky, or you're holding hands, but you ultimately are on your own road. Someone doesn't realize that, or they're missing the point in some ways. And again, they're kind of condescending about it. Kind of like, oh, well, if you were smart and enlightened like I am. And so it could be you, could be someone else. Please apply it to your life as it fits. If it doesn't fit, of course, don't force it. And so, like I said, this could be two different people. So this person who's sort of coming from this holier than thou sort of perspective might be the person or the entity or the energy that the Emperor is like super cautious about, because the Emperor can't really get a read on this person. If someone has their head dunked in water and you're looking to identify them or converse with them and engage with them one-on-one, how could you do it? please bring your head up from the water so we can talk about this. But this person is like, well, you know, my aura and my chakras and my this and my that won't allow me to do that today. I just can't involve myself with that today. And so there's a definite misalignment, or there's a definite tension between these two people. I don't think it's like super aggressive. I think it's just a matter of two different perspectives, perhaps regarding the same issue or the same situation, and not really appreciating the other side, because he's very staunch and stoic, very firm and solid, and this person is trying to be like a jellyfish, or like trying to be like water. I can flow openly, or I can sit calmly in a container. I can be frozen over like ice, or I can be boiled to a point where I steam and I evaporate. Like, they're just like, I'm cool with anything. I don't let these things affect me. And this person's like, oh, I'm affected. I'm very affected. And you know why I'm affected? Because I care about what I'm saying. I care about my position. I care about my sensibilities and my opinions. And they're just being very firm. And someone else is being very loose and very, oh, you can't contain me, or I'm not going to go on about who that is, okay? So, that's a lot. That's a lot. Now, your outcome for January 2019. Come on, card, you can do it. The Chariot card. Once again, another major arcana card of Cancer. So you might have a Cancer of significance in your life, but again, you do not have to know a Cancer. And it can also, I mean, I don't really say this because I don't know why I don't, but just because someone's sun sign, they're the sign that people walk around and say, hey, I'm a Sagittarius, or hey, I'm an Aquarius, like, that's the sun sign, right? This Cancer and any other zodiac that I've mentioned can be prominent in other areas of their life, or excuse me, their chart, their birth chart. So this could be someone who has a Cancer moon, or Cancer rising, or Cancer in Venus, or I think Mars is or was having a big like thing recently in this month of January. So if their Mars is in Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Aries, whatever it is, that might be significant. But of course, most people don't walk around knowing that information. So you might not ever know where another placement might be in their birth chart other than their sun sign. Now, what is the Chariot talking about? Chariot is talking about moving forward, full speed ahead. You've got this guy who's sort of doing like that circus trick of like riding two horses at once. You know, you might see it at a rodeo or some other kind of stunt show or performance. And it's difficult, not only just that act that I'm talking about that you might see in real life, but this energy is not easy because you want to move forward, or a situation needs to move forward, but it requires the marriage or the syncing up of two separate beings, these two horses, two individual beasts, okay? Usually they're depicted in black and white. And usually, well, not usually, but on the traditional Rider-Waite, it's sphinxes. But the point is, the one on the left has its own way, its own temperament, and the one on the right has its own way and its own temperament. And needing to get them to work together in order to make headway, in order to progress. Now, in your case, Aquarius, aside from what was going on over here, which I feel was a very solo energy and really talking about what's going on with you internally, and again, what you might be recycling back to or cycling back to and repeating in your life, what's going on here is I do feel there is somewhere two sides to a story, two sides to an issue, two sides to a relationship. And gosh dang it, you would love, why did I say it that way? I don't know. You would love, or the other person would love, to get things going, to get things moving down a certain path, whether we're going left, whether we're going right, whether we're charging straight ahead. Let's decide and get going. But there is, you see how the horses, I don't know how horses fight. I was not raised around horses, and if I'm honest, horses kind of scare me. But these horses don't look as if they're agreeing. In other depictions of this card, the animals look like they agree. In this one, not so much. So I feel that there's going to be a continued discrepancy, continual disagreements. There will be this back and forth, he said, she said, or, you know, you send a message, it's misinterpreted, then they respond, and you're like, well, that's not what I said. And so there's just like this back and forth where people just are not understanding each other, and they're not seeing their other people's perspectives. You have two cards that talk about perspective and needing to reconcile and get clear with it. But you're where you started, very strongly you started in that moon card, which is a place of uncertainty. And maybe someone shares that energy with you. Maybe someone sees you, like the moon card, like you might feel very clear. Some of you, not all of you, damn near, like a tiny, tiny few of you might feel, no, I'm actually good. I know where I'm going. You don't feel adrift, right? Your certainty is someone else's uncertainty, okay? You being clear, you making statements about your life, you planning your steps, and you being able to sort of share what you're doing, share your plans and your journey with people. Other people are like, I don't know what's going on with Aquarius, which is kind of weird, you know? Like you believe, some of you, very few of you, again, believe so clearly, I know who I am, I know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. But someone else is just like, I don't get it. I don't understand what that, what are you doing, Aquarius? What does that mean? And you're just like, having this back and forth. I've told you 100 times, this is what it means, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. So I think there is this interest in getting things off the ground, moving things forward. I think there's going to be a lot of stalling, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of, you know, flat tires, basically. Or, what do horses have? Hooves. And then they have, what are those things? Horseshoes. And I don't know what it's called. Like, isn't it called, like, throw a shoe or throw a horseshoe or something like that when they come off and you have to, like, put it back on or whatever? I don't know. Again, I don't know much, and I kind of don't really care for horses. No offense to anybody who loves horses. So there's just like this desire that is hard to get an actual progress out of. Okay? Overall for the month, Hierophant card. Another major card of Taurus. So you might have a Taurus of significance in your life, but again, does not have to be. Hierophant. Rules, regulations, you know, prescriptive living, how you're supposed to do things, when you're supposed to do things. Talks about linear singular entities within a society or culture, government, schools, banks, excuse me, the media, etc., right? And in this sense, for your reading, Aquarius, this is about principles. Perhaps I mentioned like school and children earlier for some of you. So principles as in Principal, right? Principles, right? I spelled that right. I'm not a great speller. Versus principles with the PLE at the end. So some of you, this is literally like a principal, like somebody who is in charge of, maybe like a superintendent almost. Like maybe some of you are like having to escalate something on your child's behalf, or something's going on that draws you to the superintendent's office for a meeting or whatever. So, and if it's not literally a principal, it would be somebody who oversees a company, like I mentioned before, maybe a boss. But I'm feeling not directly in the building, not a day-to-day figure. This is like a figurehead. This is somebody who shows up at, you know, big-time meetings, quarterly reviews, you know, town halls, things like that. Like this person only comes out for the big. Most of the time they're on the golf course kind of thing. And the principle, or the principles that are involved, PLE, principles, standards. And someone's standards are hugely, hugely important. They're so important. Some of this is like faith-based. Going back to that Temperance card, right? Some of this is based on spiritual belief or religious belief. And it's just like, it's enraged. If you look at that figure there, the ghostly type of human figure, like screaming up into the sky, like from the mountaintops, I believe in this, or this is who, you know, just like huge declarations of what they are and who they are and what they believe in and all that kind of stuff. And someone is tooth and nail. They want this to be understood and respected, and in some cases adhered to. So this could literally be, going back to the principals, P-A-L, or the superintendent, it could literally be, you know, this happens a lot in the news, or at least I see it a lot on my news feeds and all my local news, like kids getting kicked out of school because their hair is crazy. Oh, your son has purple hair, he can't come to class, blah, blah, blah. Or your daughter has dreadlocks, what the hell do you think she is? Like, what is she doing? No, 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 no. You know, it's against our rules, you know, charter schools and all this other kind of crap, and they have crazy rules for their kids. And some of you might be taking it, you know, to the superintendent, or taking it to the media. Media is included in the hierophant. And you're saying, my kid just wants to be educated. Kids these days, they see dyed hair on, you know, their cartoon characters. And when I was growing up, you had trolls with crazy hair. Like, hair is not a distraction. Hair has nothing to do with education. These kids are here to be taught. They're not here to be scorned and scolded for who they are and looking a certain way. This is garbage. This is BS. We're taking it to the superintendent. We're going to go on the local news. And if we have to, we're going to go national with this thing. I will make this whole effing thing go viral if you're trying to kick my kid out of class because of his hair. Like, some of you might be having that argument. And conversely, someone who is a part of the establishment, the superintendent or whoever, is going to argue the rules back to you. Because again, this is about rules and regulation. This is about what's supposed to be adhered to, all the rules and steps that need to be followed. And they're going to point to you, well, this is a charter school, and you signed this contract, or you signed an agreement that said your child would adhere to these rules of physical appearance in the uniform, and it says no dyed hair. So boom, done, you're done. So, not competition, but conflict, which is what we said here. These two fighting horses. You know, you can't move forward if your horses don't agree. If you're trying to put them on a yoke and pull a wagon or pull anything, if the horses don't agree and one wants to go left and one wants to go right, you're not going to go very far, right? Interesting. Interesting. That was an interesting one for you, Aquarius. I don't remember what happened in December. I'm sorry. But hopefully what you've seen here today was helpful to you. If it was, there is a like button down below. Please click it. It lets me know you enjoyed yourself. Also down there, you're going to find a share button if you want to share this across your social media pages or in a, you know, private email with someone. I don't care. That would be cool. I always am open to new viewers. That's the point of doing this, right? Also down there, you're going to find the comment section. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it resonates with you, what you liked about the reading, anything like that. And of course, there is the subscription button. If you are not subscribed by now, but you keep coming back, what's the deal? Do you not like me that much? Like, you're kind of like, I like you, but I don't want to, like, be committed. I understand YouTube commitments are a big deal, so if you don't want to subscribe, that's cool. But if you're just like, who cares? Go ahead and click that button. That would be awesome. I'm going to be back in a few weeks' time. I should say soon, because it's like, it never happens. Oh, I am going to come back and do your February readings, of course, but I will be back sooner than later for you guys, because you guys have a birthday reading coming up. So I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll do that this weekend to get ahead of game. If I'm smart, I will do that. But then I'm like, but I should go to the gym as well, and I should do these other things. So we'll see. But it will come out. That'll be the next video before the February monthlies. You will see your birthday reading up here on my channel, Aquarius, okay? All right, guys. I thank you so, so much for watching. Take care. Bye.